This is the last variation of La Folia. This is mostly about where in the bow to be and how much bow to use. So starting at the very beginning, let's see if we can do those first couple of notes. So watch how much bow I use and then see if you can do the same thing. Here we go. So I'm using almost my whole bow on every note. Go ahead and give that a try. Now let's do the next part. So I'm going to start on the next up bow. So second measure there, the last note. And again, I'm going to use lots of bow, and I'm really placing that bow lift. Whenever I have that bow circle, I'm really making sure I get down, and then almost it's like I'm drawing a little smile in the air. If you watch down here, it gets a little smile. Just a little tiny one on those big chords. So starting on a nice up bow. So go ahead and try that. The only place I didn't use my whole bow was on the little 16th notes. So go ahead and try that little spot right there. All right, and then this next part, I like to do down bow, down bow, instead of down, 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 because I think it becomes a little messy. So go ahead and watch this next part. Even on that 8th note, I'm still using a good half of my bow. So one more time. I also like to bring my bow off the string on the 8th note and then bring it back down for the next chord. So go ahead and try that next part. Okay, then at the very end of that line, we're back into first position. So watch this next part. I sometimes hold things a little tiny bit long, but not much because the piano still has to fit in there. So one more time. So really placing that bottom E before you play the top. Go ahead and try that part now. And then this next part, we want to make it as fast as we can, but we also have to make sure our notes are correct. So do it a couple of times staccato. Let's do it together. So go ahead and get your bow ready. We'll do. Okay, here we go. Ready? And. Let's do it one more time. Here we go. Ready? And. Good. Now listen to it once. I'm going to play up until the C sharp chord right before the next big scale. Here we go. My turn. Good. And so on this one, I want to make sure that I really start on beat 3 of the measure, coming out of that previous chord. 3. And those accents are really important. Accent. Accent. And before the accents, if you can get that bow off the string and then re-grip, you'll have a much better chance of getting a good accent. So go ahead and try that part, starting on that big scale, or if you want to just start on the bigger chord before that, you can too. I can almost guarantee you that you were getting a lot more of your bow used, but I bet you didn't get the accents as well as you could. Do it one more time and see if you can really grip for those accents. Come off the string before them and then grip to get those accents. Try it one last time. Good. So now let's do that next big scale. Let's do it together first, and then you'll listen to me play that whole part. So let's just do that scale together. Here you go, the one that's 12 notes long. Here you go, ready? Up bow staccato. You can do open E or you can do a 4th finger. Either way is fine for the last note of that big scale. Let's do it one more time. Up bow staccato, ready? Good. Now listen to it once for me. Just doing it by myself. It's very similar to what you had before. I don't think it'll be too hard on this one because there's no accents either. The hard part on this one is that it is 12 notes long instead of 10, and so it's just faster. So if I were to start on the chord before, 1, 2. You want to keep those fingers moving, but they end up being a bit of a kind of a blur together. So go ahead and try that little section right there. Good. Now this is the down bow one. So let's do some down bow staccato here together. The notes I think are tricky are the E natural on the D string, going to the B flat and F natural. I always think it's easy to get those ones off. Also can sometimes be easy to play a G sharp instead of a G natural on the last note, so keep an eye out for that. Here we go. Up, down bow staccato now. Good. Let's do it again. Here we go. Good. Go ahead and listen to me play it now. This one does have an accent, so be careful with that. I think that this one's easy to get the accent because we have an up bow. So I think it's easy to get to that one. But use that bow. Here's a reminder. You have to use your whole bow on like all of these chords. Really use that bow. So go ahead and try it. I'll listen to it one more time and I'll let you try it. I actually used my whole bow on that B flat, that eighth note this time. So try to use your whole bow. Go ahead and try that section, maybe a couple times. The hard thing about the next part is that we do have a whole bunch of down bows in a row now. So it's really easy to make it messy. So you want to cut these notes short just a little bit so you can really land back down before you have to play the next one. So listen to it once. And the chords are also just not easy. So I would practice it just the top notes first. Then practice those middle ones. You can even practice the top and the bottom, but only play one of them. So if I were to just play the middle note, but finger both. Sorry, I kind of played half the top and half the middle there. And then, of course, the bottom. Because that fourth finger on the eighth note is probably the hardest part of that chord. So if you can practice getting to that fourth finger, that helps a lot. So if you listen to it one more time, and I'll give you a chance to practice it. Go ahead and try that like 3 times, a whole bunch of times. Did you get the rhythm? Did you get that rhythm? That really tricky rhythm there. All right, we'll keep going. Now we have some of our big chords. So again, we have a whole bunch of down bows. So listen to it once. I totally played that chord wrong. Let me do it one more time. This is where you can really do 2-2 versus da-dum. But we don't want to have it quite as fast. Sorry about that squeal there. Go ahead and try it yourself. So you can have that nice big chords. Use your whole bow. It's really important here. You also may have noticed that it's now a little slower than it was earlier, and that's a good thing. We want it to become a little slower in here because of all those down bows. We have to. So it kind of naturally makes it all pull out just a little bit. We get a little more time and space. So here's your ending part. Oh, the little 2 lines. Those 2 little lines there are called a caesura. And my teachers would always say it's like train tracks. You see the 2 tracks there? And when you pull up in your car, you should stop and look both ways. Or maybe if you're pulling up in a bus, you have to stop and look both ways. So you give just a second before you continue on. So I'll play the last chord before the caesura, and then I'll play the ending part. So here it is. And on that last note, you want to have as flat a bow hair as you possibly can. You want your bow to be as straight as you can, and you're using that whole bow because it's on a retardando. It's also a dotted half note, and it's got a fermata. So it's got a lot going for it. So listen one more time, and then you can try it. 1, 2. If you can get louder at the end, I don't think mine was the best sounding one that last time, but go ahead and give that a try now. So that whole section, I'm going to play it for you once, and then you can turn off, the video will turn off, and then you can try that whole thing. But definitely recommend practicing it in sections just like we just did, rather than doing the whole thing at once. There you go. So sorry about the squeal, but I like my last note that time. Have fun practicing.